Now we welcome those who are joining us via the internet for this celebration of the third Sunday of Advent and our service here at Piedmont Presbyterian Church. Our Old Testament lesson today comes from the prophet Isaiah, the 61st chapter, verses 1 through 4 and 8 through 11. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me. He has sent me to bring good news to the oppressed, to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives and release to the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn, to provide for those who mourn in Zion, to give them a garland instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, the mantle of praise instead of a faint spirit. They will be called oaks of righteousness, the planting of the Lord to display his glory. They shall build up the ancient ruins. They shall raise up the former devastation. They shall repair the ruined cities, the devastation of many generations. For I, the Lord, love justice. I hate robbery and wrongdoing. I will faithfully give them their recompense, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them. Their descendants shall be known among the nations, and their offspring among the peoples. All who see them shall acknowledge that they are a people whom the Lord has blessed. I will greatly rejoice in the Lord. My whole being shall exult in my God. For he has clothed me with garments of salvation. He has covered me with the robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom decks himself with a garland, and as a bride adorns herself with jewels. For as the earth springs forth its shoots, and as a garden causes what is sown in it to spring up, so the Lord God will cause righteousness and praise to spring up before all the nations. And then our New Testament lesson this Sunday comes from the Gospel according to John, the first chapter, verses 6 through 8 and 14 through 28. Listen now for the word of the Lord for each of us. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. He came as a witness to testify to the light, so that all might believe through him. He himself was not the light, but he came to testify to the light. And the Word became flesh and lived among us. And we have seen his glory, the glory as of a Father's only Son, full of grace and truth. John testified to him and cried out, "This is he of whom I said, he who comes after me ranks ahead of me, because he was before me." From his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. The law indeed was given through Moses. Grace and truth came through Jesus Christ. No one has ever seen God. It is God, the only Son, who is close to the Father's heart, who has made him known. This is the testimony given by John when the Jews sent priests and Levites from Jerusalem to ask, "Who are you?" He confessed and did not deny it, but confessed, "I am not the Messiah." And they asked him, "What then? Are you Elijah?" He said, "I am not." "Are you the prophet?" He answered, "No." Then they said to him, "Who are you? Let us have an answer for those who sent us. What do you say about yourself?" He said, "I am the voice of one crying out in the wilderness. Make straight the way for the Lord," as the prophet Isaiah said. Now they had been sent from the Pharisees. They asked him, "Why then are you baptizing if you are neither the Messiah, nor Elijah, nor the prophet?" And John answered them, "I baptize with water. Among you stands one whom you do not know, the one who is coming after me. I am not worthy to untie the thong of his sandal." This took place in Bethany, across the Jordan, where John was baptizing. May the Lord add his blessing to this reading of his holy word. And may the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be acceptable in God's sight. For God truly is our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. If I were to go out onto the street here in Piedmont or in Westernport or Kaiser or even in Winchester and ask people who were passing by, "What is the miracle of Christmas?" some might say, well, the miracle of Christmas is when people discover that it is more blessed to give than to receive. Or I might hear, it's a miracle when all the family gets together peacefully during the holiday. Others may think the miracle of Christmas takes place when modern-day Scrooges finally get it and open their hearts and their pockets and purse strings to the left fortune. These things are all wonderful, yes, but they really aren't what Christmas is all about. Simply told, the real miracle of Christmas is what I told the children. And it comes to us in a Bible story. Writer John Shea tells this story in modern-day language through the eyes of a 5-year-old child. She was sure of her facts, Shea says, and she recited them very solemnly. They were so poor they had only peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to eat, she said. And they went a long way from home without getting lost. The lady rode a donkey, and the man walked, and the baby was inside the lady. They had to stay in a stable with an ox. But 3 rich men found them because a star lighted up the roof. And shepherds came and let them pet the sheep, but they couldn't feed them. And then the baby was born. What was it about this ordinary story that made it a miracle? Was it that the child survived being born in a stable? Or that a virgin conceived the child? Or that angels announced his birth? They are miracles, but they're not the greatest miracle of all. The little girl knew, and she finished her story this way. And do you know who he was? She got so excited she jumped up on the sofa and twirled around 3 times. The baby was God. The greatest miracle that creation has ever seen is found in those 4 little words. John's Gospel, chapter 1, puts it this way. The Word became flesh. The best Christmas gift that we have ever known. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. All things came into being through him, and without him not one thing came into being. And the Word became flesh and lived among us, and we have seen his glory. The words just sort of wash over you like poetry. They're not as easy to understand as the little girls, but they are beautiful nonetheless. She tells the Christmas story as it occurs for us in Matthew and Luke, while the poetic words of John are the language of Greek philosophy that John understood very well in his day. He tells us that the Logos, the Word that can mean either word or thing or sign, became flesh in Jesus of Nazareth. John's Gospel tells us that God, that mystery above all mysteries, became a human and lived with us, tinted with us on earth. The Nicene Creed of the later church explains it this way. The Logos is no mere creature, no lesser type of divinity. Rather, the Logos is God of God, light of light, of one substance with the Father. This means that the Father and the Son are not two separate entities. They are one, not even existing at two different times. It attempts, this Nicene Creed, in archaic language to explain the relationship that we find sort of fuzzy. What we would now understand as genetic makeup, that the genes of the Father and the Son are exactly the same. One substance. That is a miracle. A pastor by the name of John Claypool once told about the evening that his son's babysitter discovered this good news for the first time. He had been reading a book by J.B. Phillips called When God Became Man. And he put it down on a chair before he and his wife went out, leaving the boy with the babysitter. When they returned, the sitter was very excited. She had picked up the book she found on the chair and began to wave it around. "Is this true?" she said. "What did he look like? When did it happen?" Claypool was kind of taken aback because he knew this lady was very active in his church. She even sang in the choir. He was surprised that the title of the book was such a shock to her. Yet apparently in all her years of church, she had never understood that one point. That God did become flesh and blood, a human being. The one who was eternal and infinite entered our time. When Claypool took her home that night, they sat and talked for hours about what this means. The first thing that I believe that it means for us is that God wants us to know how much we are loved. Isn't it true that when you love someone, you want to tell them so? The Old Testament shows us a God who is continually trying to say to his people that they are loved. God's love for us can be seen in the beauty of creation, in our minds that seek the truth, and in the still small voice that speaks to our hearts. God's love was portrayed in the stories of the patriarchs, the Exodus, the return from exile, the lives of the prophets and the kings. But always there existed such a great chasm between creator and created that it was very hard for human beings to really understand the language that God is speaking. No one has ever seen God, John tells us, but in the fullness of time, it was God, the only Son, who is close to the Father's heart, who has made him known. In the incarnation, in the taking on of flesh, it's as if God said, "I've tried to tell you of my love for each one of you in many different ways. But now you can see face to face." The second thing the incarnation means for us is that we know God understands what it means to be human, to be a creature. God's love took on skin, muscles, bones, organs, blood, and all the features that are present in every one of us. He was fully human as well as fully divine. At the moment of his conception, the Son of God became flesh and took on human nature. God, as a tiny baby, truly entered the human condition, a condition that, frankly, is not all sweetness and light. Throughout his earthly life, God would know what it meant to be limited. God would know hunger and thirst. God would know the need for love and security. Like us, God would experience what it's like to be betrayed by a friend, to grieve the loss of a loved one, to fear suffering and death, to feel abandoned and alone. God truly loved us enough to walk our walk, to celebrate our joy and to bear our sorrow. But God didn't just simply love us. The third thing the Incarnation tells us is just how impossibly great that love for us really is. Because God picked up a cross, suffered, died, and came back to us to save us. And that was God's intent from the beginning. Why in the world would the all-powerful God have to become a man in order to save us? Couldn't God just have lifted a hand or waved a wand or something and made everything right? No. That would not work. Because all of humanity, every one of us had fallen into the death of disobedience and sin. We broke the relationship that we had with God and with one another. And we ourselves are incapable of fixing that which is broken. Only God can do that. But at the same time, God knows, like a fair and just parent knows, that our sin and disobedience has to be punished. It can't just be swept under the rug and dismissed as nothing. That's cheap grace. Sin must be dealt with. It must be paid for somehow, or else it is meaningless. So, in this way, God came to our rescue as a tiny baby to fulfill the demands of justice. Jesus would grow up keeping the commandment to love God and to love one's neighbor perfectly. The only sinless and righteous man, completely innocent. And yet he chose to undergo the suffering and punishment that we deserve. Truly God, Jesus took on our sins, and truly human, he underwent our punishment for us. His sacrificial death atoned for all our sins. Imagine God, the one we sinned against, making the first move toward us to heal what is broken. Offering his life in our place. What great love is that? We can be sure that we are forgiven, that our relationships are restored, that we are made right with God's eyes. We can be sure, all because that baby in the manger was God. You see, Christmas is all about God's wondrous gift of love. A gift that can't be returned or exchanged. It can only be accepted by each one of us. And so each one of us has to decide, will we accept it And what will we do with it? We can, like the little girl, jump in the air and twirl around 3 times. Or we can say, I love you right back. By sharing the story of God's gift to all the world, by sharing our love with those who are in need. St. Teresa of Avila once said, Christ has no body now but yours, no hands but yours, no feet but yours. Yours are the eyes through which Christ's compassion must look out onto the world. Yours are the feet with which he has to go about doing good. Yours are the hands with which he is to bless. How will we thank God for such an incomparable gift? It is my prayer that this Christmas John's words never grow old in our hearts, but continue to fill us with a sense of wonder and awe as we contemplate that incomprehensible truth that in that tiny baby boy, the Word became flesh and lived among us. And we have seen his glory. And from his fullness, we have received grace upon grace. Thanks be to God, who gives us this wonderful gift in Jesus Christ, our Son and Lord. Amen.